You climbed into your car this morning, started the engine, pressed the accelerator, and were cruising at around 40 miles per hour without breaking a sweat. Just 100,000 years ago, covering that same distance would have meant nearly 2 exhausting days of walking barefoot across dangerous wilderness. There were no roads to follow, no maps to guide you, and no signs warning you about what lay ahead. For the vast majority of human history, every journey came with real dangers, and the only transportation you had was your own 2 feet. Today, you can board a plane and reach the opposite side of the world within hours. You can order products from another continent, and they arrive right at your doorstep. Travel has become so effortless that we rarely stop to think about it. But for nearly 300,000 years, every human journey happened at the speed of a walk. That single fact influenced almost every part of life, where people settled, what they ate, who they met and married, and how much of the world they were able to explore. So before we talk about horses, wheels, ships, or airplanes, we have to begin with the one thing every human has relied on since the very beginning: our feet. Humans are among the greatest endurance walkers on Earth, but we're certainly not the fastest. Humans were never designed for raw speed. A cheetah can sprint at nearly 70 miles per hour, and a horse can maintain around 30 miles per hour for long distances. Even at your absolute best, you might reach 15 miles per hour and only for a few moments before exhaustion sets in. But speed was never humanity's greatest advantage. What makes us unique is endurance. You can walk 20 miles today, rest overnight, then wake up and do it again tomorrow, and the day after that. Keep repeating that for weeks, and your body is still capable of carrying you forward. Very few animals on Earth can match that level of sustained movement. Your feet are built with natural arches that work like shock-absorbing springs. Every step stores and releases energy through your Achilles tendon, reducing the effort your muscles need to make. A special ligament at the back of your neck keeps your head steady while the rest of your body moves beneath it. And with nearly 2 million sweat glands spread across your skin, your body stays cool even during long walks. While many large mammals on the African savanna must stop to avoid overheating, humans weren't engineered to win short races. We evolved for something far more powerful: the ability to keep moving long after everything else has slowed down. That incredible design has been with us for millions of years. In 1978, paleoanthropologist Mary Leakey uncovered a remarkable trail of footprints in Latoli, Tanzania. Preserved in volcanic ash for around 3.6 million years, they reveal 2 ancient individuals walking upright side by side, evidence that the journey of human walking began long before recorded history. Walking side by side, those footprints represent the oldest known evidence of human ancestors moving on 2 legs. What's truly remarkable is how closely they resemble the footprints you could leave behind today. For millions of years, walking was humanity's only form of transportation. There were no wheels, no animals to ride, and no engines to carry us. Yet somehow those 2 feet were enough to take our species farther than any other animal on Earth. Around 70,000 years ago, humans slowly began expanding beyond Africa. It wasn't a single migration or one giant expedition. It happened over countless generations, with small groups venturing little farther each time into landscapes no human had ever explored before. Step by step, they moved through the Middle East, spread across Asia, settled in Europe, journeyed into Siberia, crossed the ancient land bridge into Alaska, and eventually traveled all the way through North and South America. Altogether, that was a journey of nearly 15,000 miles, made without maps, without knowing what waited ahead, or even realizing where the journey would eventually lead. What often gets overlooked is that these movements weren't simply random wandering. Archaeologists have discovered obsidian tools hundreds of miles from the Patot, nearest volcanic source, seashells carried far inland, and amber traded across rugged mountain ranges. These discoveries reveal that ancient humans intentionally traveled incredible distances, not just to survive, but to trade, connect with other groups, and exchange valuable resources. They traveled to build relationships with distant communities, exchange goods, and reach valuable resources they had learned about through shared knowledge. This wasn't aimless wandering. It was an early form of networking. powered entirely by human footsteps. But walking had one major limitation. It worked across deserts, forests, and even steep mountain passes. Water was different. A river could bring an entire journey to a sudden halt. Rivers crossed migration routes, divided hunting grounds, and interrupted trade paths almost everywhere. For hundreds of thousands of years, a wide river or stretch of water acted like a natural barrier. If there wasn't a safe place to cross, the only option was to turn back. Then humans achieved something extraordinary, something no other land, animal had ever done intentionally. They learned how to cross open water. In 2003, archaeologists excavating on the Indonesian island of Flores uncovered stone tools estimated to be around 800,000 years old. That discovery raised an obvious question. Flores has never been connected to the Asian mainland. Even during the Ice Ages, when sea levels were at their lowest, at least 12 miles of open ocean still separated the island from the nearest landmass. So whoever made those tools couldn't have simply walked there. Somehow, long before written history, ancient humans found a way to cross the sea on purpose. That leaves only one logical conclusion. Someone successfully made the journey across the water. We'll probably never know exactly what they used. Wood decays, bamboo breaks down, and plant fibers disappear over time. Whatever carried them across the sea has long since vanished. But the stone tools remain, proving that the crossing really happened. The earliest boats were likely incredibly simple. Maybe a fallen tree trunk or a bundle of reeds tied together. They weren't carefully engineered inventions at first. They were discoveries. Someone realized that a floating object could support their weight, cross the stretch of water safely, and survive. That single moment changed human history. From there, experimentation turned into innovation. Around 65,000 years ago, humans made an astonishing voyage from Southeast Asia to Australia. To reach the continent, they had to travel at least 60 miles across open ocean. Australia isn't visible from the departure point, so this wasn't a journey anyone could make by accident. Someone built a craft strong enough to stay afloat, aimed toward the horizon, where no land could be seen, and started paddling into the unknown. Take a moment to imagine that decision. Leaving the safety of solid ground with nothing but hope that land existed somewhere beyond the horizon required extraordinary courage. The oldest boat ever discovered today is the Pes canoe from the Netherlands, dating back roughly 10,000 years. It's a simple dugout canoe, yet it represents one of the earliest surviving examples of humanity's growing mastery over water. The Pes canoe may be the oldest boat we found, but it certainly wasn't the first one ever built. By the time that canoe was carved, people had already been living on islands that could never have been reached on foot for tens of thousands of years. The evidence makes one thing clear. Boat technology is far older than the oldest surviving boat. Then came one of the greatest achievements in the history of exploration. Around 3,000 years ago, the Polynesians set out across the Pacific Ocean, the largest ocean on Earth. Using remarkable double-hulled canoes, they carried food, animals, tools, and even entire families on voyages, stretching thousands of miles. What makes those journeys even more incredible is how they navigated. There were no maps, no compasses, and no GPS. Instead, they relied on the stars above, the patterns of ocean swells, flight paths of birds, and even the color and shape of clouds gathering above distant islands. Their understanding of nature was so accurate that it continues to amaze modern navigators today. Through this extraordinary knowledge, they reached Hawaii, Easter Island, New Zealand, and nearly every habitable island scattered across the Pacific. Some expeditions crossed more than 2,500 miles of uninterrupted ocean without a single island in between. By then, humans had mastered two worlds. Walking allowed us to conquer the land, and boats opened the seas. But one major challenge still remained. A person can walk for miles, but carrying a 200-pound animal across that same distance is a completely different story. Transportation had evolved, yet moving heavy loads was still one of humanity's greatest obstacles. For most of human history, the biggest challenge in transportation wasn't how far you could travel. It was how much you could carry. Every journey was limited by the strength of the human body. Once a load reached around 40 to 60 pounds, moving it over long distances became exhausting and inefficient. So humans found ways to outsmart the problem. The earliest solution was surprisingly simple: dragging. After hunting a large animal, people would place it on an animal hide and pull it back to camp instead of carrying it on their shoulders. Archaeologists know this happened because ancient hides contain distinctive wear patterns that could only have been created by dragging heavy objects over long distances. Eventually, someone came up with an even smarter invention: the travois. It consisted of two long poles joined together in a V-shaped frame, with a platform stretched between them to hold supplies. The narrow end was pulled along the ground, while the wider end supported the cargo.